Well, hello, friends. Welcome to another edition of this HI-5 moment. We have Rob Key and yours truly, Kim
Hey
Davis.
guys.
But we also have a special guest with us today. We have another board member of our First Fridays, Miss Jan Diaz, who hi, who's going to introduce us to our guest this on the show. So, what's up, Jan? How's it going?
Oh, it's going well, Kim, and I would love to introduce our special guest today. We have Theresa Steele. Theresa is the CEO and founder of Steele Business Coaching, and Theresa is also a certified implementer of the EOS system. So welcome, Theresa. It's great to have you with us on Lunch Break.
Welcome, Theresa.
Okay.
Well, Theresa, we have a series of questions that we'd like to ask you. And so just sit back and relax, and we know that this is all impromptu. So are you ready?
I am, yes.
Okay. Great. Our first question is, what would you say to other entrepreneurs, such as yourself, during this season that we are in?
What would I say? What I've done is just taken some time to reflect. And actually, I talked to Rob the other day because I was trying to decide, where I focus my time, and well, actually texting, I guess, and just saying that I needed to just be still and do more listening instead of always just going and doing and doing and doing. Because my number one strength when we're talking about the Clifton Strength Finders is learning. So I could take a hold of anything and take a deep dive. And I need to sometimes take a step back and see, is that really where my time should be spent? Because I have so many interests and I find everything so interesting. So just instead of always just trying to fill that space and fill that time, maybe just sitting back and being quiet and listening. And I'm a Christian, so just praying and waiting for God to kind of lead and guide me, because I'm not perfect on saying verses verbatim, but I know that he says you can make your plans, but you allow him to direct your steps, or something to that effect. And so just letting him doing that. So I can get excited about things and put some things out there, but really just listening and waiting and letting him guide me. So that's my thing. If you're a Christian, that's where I would lean you to go, is, put it in prayer and sit, be quiet, listen to God.
Awesome. Beautiful.
Awesome.
Yes, great answer. Yes.
So, Theresa, obviously, everyone has a mentor, and everyone has taken some things from mentors, whether it be a nugget here or a nugget there. What would you say has been one nugget or one piece of advice that you've taken from a mentor and you just continue to keep running with it?
Oh, well, I have quite a few mentors. And I'm actually going to get on a Zoom call with one of my mentors later this afternoon. And I guess it's just understanding your value and embracing that, because I know everyone can get caught up in comparing themselves to somebody else and their leadership style. But there are so many different leadership styles out there. But just really taking time to look at how you were created, how you're wired, and embracing that. It doesn't mean that you always need to step up and lead either, because some situations will call for a different type of leadership style. So just understanding who you are and how you best lead, and how you can be of value. So when that time comes, you'll know it, you'll be confident, and you can step up and lead in that way. So
awesome. Beautiful. Thank you, Theresa. Okay, question number 3. You ready?
I am.
Here we go. Okay. All right. Obviously we're in a very interesting time right now, and this might even air after the quarantine is over, but still it's going to be something that we reflect on for years to come. And seeing all the changes and the pivots that people have made, using that new coined phrase, pivoting, is like the buzzword of the last month, right?
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel working with businesses being a business owner yourself, how do you feel that this experience of quarantine, coronavirus, COVID-19 will change the way that you personally do business?
Well, just being willing to adapt to different people. And I know that some people have been very fearful, and I try to go back and say, and again, being careful, because I know not everyone has the same faith that I have, but for those that do, I say, put your trust in God. Put your trust in God instead of living in fear. Make those decisions based on that. I know that can be really difficult to do. So I also try to be sensitive that that's not where everyone is. And sometimes they just need some extra care and compassion. And then once they have, feel a little bit more comfortable, then you can speak those words. It's that, and I do go back to the Bible. So it's just having an aptly spoken word. So
beautiful.
Even if you have that wisdom and that understanding, just knowing when and how to say it and whether people would be receptive. So I'm not sure if I answered your question about how we would adapt, I guess is what your question was. But just I guess taking that step back, reflecting, looking at your situation, seeing how you can take the opportunity to help others. And that's what I've seen a lot of the companies that I work with do. Like whether it's, I know one is a manufacturing company, and somebody just showed up in their lobby saying, we need, here's some money, we need you to take on this project. And I think it was a government contract, so that helped them. And then, unfortunately, there have been situations where there's cyber fraud that's been going on. So I have another client that does cybersecurity. And so it's unfortunate that sometimes it takes situations like this to heighten awareness, but you can take this time to educate people on the importance of how you can help their business. For instance, making sure, I did a webinar on cyber insurance and how that transfers some of the risks, but it doesn't eliminate it. Having that cyber security in place, that will help combat any hackers or anything like that. But just understanding how you can come in and help and educate people and, in this time. But me personally, one thing that I've done is I know that some of my clients don't prefer to meet via Zoom. I have done it, and I've gotten really positive feedback that it was much better than they had anticipated. But for those that want to meet in person, we just are respectful about the social distancing and make sure that the room is set up so that everybody has space. And and I get it that some people would prefer to have those sessions in person because they're either not comfortable with technology, or they it's just a preference that they'd rather be in person.
Sure. No, that's great. Yeah, thank you so much, Theresa. I appreciate that. Jan, you got number 4.
Okay. Thanks, Rob. So, Theresa, as a leader, what resource or what book would you recommend reading right now? What are you reading or listening to? Maybe a podcast? What would you recommend?
Well, and this kind of goes based off of what you said too. Your number one go-to is the Bible. Same here. I also have gone back and just reread books that are related to what I do, just to refresh and renew the information. And as you mentioned, I'm an EOS implementer. I'm licensed, and there are 5 books in our library. So we have the Traction is the main book by Gino Wickman, and he's co-authors of the other books. So highly recommend that if you need a framework. It's a great book. And then there's other books that we recommend, like the Jim Collins books with Good to Great and Patrick Lencioni. Just a lot of really good books that will give you some foundation for the way that you relate to people. One of the things I like about Patrick Lencioni is he talks about being healthy and smart. So a lot of people focus on being strategic and smart and having these actionable plans, but they don't focus on the relationships. And if you have a healthy environment for work and the politics have been set aside so that there's more trust, you can actually leverage all the things that you're great at. When there's not high trust, then often people are protective and there's silos that are put into play. So one of the books he has is The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team. It's a great book. It's one of the books we recommend to help build that trust. Just see how the more open and honest you are with your teammates, and it happens over time. It doesn't, you have to build that trust over time, and just realize that being open and honest is a two-way street. You have to be open and honest about listening to their perspectives, the way they think, the way they feel, and then also allow yourself to be vulnerable and do the same thing. And then, that just opens the door for you to, to move forward in a safe and comfortable avenue. So
absolutely.
Yeah, great answer.
Thank you.
All right, so this is the last stretch of our questions, and as Rob had said backstage, this is literally a staple in our video series. So Theresa, if you could, if you could break bread with anyone, who would you choose?
Oh, geez. If I could break bread with anyone, who would I choose?
You could say
Going back to our pre-conversation, I would love to meet my family from South Korea. I would just love, I don't know names. I met one time when I was just like in my first or second year of college. I came back for a visit, and he somehow found my family. And his American name is Henry. I don't know what his Korean name is, but I would really love to meet that side of my family.
That's awesome. Beautiful. I love it. That's a great one. We had some great conversation backstage, as Cam said. I didn't even know we had a backstage. But now that I know, I feel like, wow.
It's a virtual backstage.
Everything's virtual now. That's
Did you know Zoom had a virtual backstage?
I must admit that I have been watching a lot of talk shows just to kind of get some pointers, okay? And so,
when we were talking backstage before the recording, it's so interesting, just the ancestry that we all have, and to be able to chase that down. And I love your hopes to be able to one day maybe sit down with that side of your family that you really haven't gotten a chance to know yet. So I love that. Thank you, Theresa. And Theresa, we want to thank you so much for being with us today. I know that you've got a lot of things going on, and as with everybody's trying to do the shift. And there's some positives, and there's obviously some struggles in the midst of it all. But we thank you for taking the time to be with us. So if anybody is a business owner and they would like to instill some successful business practice, or also known as EOS, Entrepreneurial Operating System, and put that in place to guarantee future success, please talk to Theresa Steele, and you can contact her at her website, steelebc.com, and that's STEELEBC.com. So until then, thanks for joining us here at First Friday's Hi-5, and we look forward to getting together again soon. Everybody, you ready? We're going to do a high five. 3, 2, 1. High five.
High five.
All right. God bless. Thanks, Theresa.
All right.